Om Shri Sai Ram. Good evening. Welcome to day 3 of the Atma Chalisa Revisited. On day 2, we finished the 12th chapter, which was that there is a solution within every problem. And instead of focusing on the problem and focusing on why the problem has come, and in trying to put our attention onto going behind the problem, if we accept the problem that it has already come and that we are facing that problem, that acceptance releases us, and if we look squarely into the problem, then the solution always comes with the problem. And our energies, when they are fully focused on finding the solution, then the solution presents itself, and our life becomes far more smoother and easier, because we understand that the solution, that the problem has come for our higher good, and we also start growing when we start facing the challenges. So that's where we ended our session yesterday. So today we will start with the 13th chapter. And in the 13th chapter, we talk about the self. That what is the self that we are seeking to realize? Because we call the whole journey as self-realization. So the question is, what is this self and what is there to realize? And I recall a year back that this session happened from the ashram of Maharishi Ramana. And that day I had a calling to visit there. It was like a personal invitation from the Maharishi. And it was a very beautiful experience that I had over there. Maharishi Ramana had a beautiful episode which changed his life. He one day, when he was 16 years old, he experienced as if he was about to die. And he got very anxious because he did not know what death is about. And that the whole idea of death started to trouble him, and he became extremely anxious and extremely uncomfortable about it. So once the fear was over, he decided to investigate what this death is and why did it invoke so much of fear in him. So he said, let me experience what death is all about. And he lay down on the floor straight, and he pretended to die. He went into a posture which is called as the rigor mortis. He became stiff in his body and he stopped his breathing. He wanted to experience what this death is. And he was given that experience. And in that experience, he realized that when you die, when your breathing stops, there is something that is still aware and that is able to witness the body itself. So it was as if that body and that something were two different things, because that something could actually see the body lying, and it had the awareness, it could experience everything, but it had no form. It was invisible, but yet it could see the body. So therefore, Maharishi realized that the body and that some other thing which was aware, which could experience things, was actually different from the body. And that he realized was the self. And it was such a big revelation for him that the real self, the true self, the consciousness, or that awareness still remains with us even when we are not in the body. And so a big thing happened for him, that he was able to disconnect the body from the real self, and he realized that body was just a vehicle in which the real self was traveling. Body was a mere container or a garment in which the self or the consciousness was encased, or which was holding it. So this understanding brought extreme clarity in him, that actually when death happens, only the body dies, but the real self remains. And that gave him this understanding that means the real self is independent of this body. That means the real self exists after death. That means that real self exists before birth. It's only that when a birth happens, a new birth happens, and a body is taken, or a new body comes into the planet, the consciousness or the self enters into it. And this was what he was looking for. And from that day onwards, his life changed, and he realized that he was giving too much and undue importance to his body. In fact, it is said that from that day onwards, Maharishi Ramana just ignored his body. He just knew that the body needed some little bit of food so that he had energy for his walks and for the talks that he used to give. And he stopped bothering about it. He was always wearing in a small lion's cloth. His need for nurturing or nourishing this body just left him, and he just ignored the body to be just a vehicle. And the other thing that he experienced was that no matter what happens, this body which has come here as a vehicle for carrying this consciousness will do what it is meant to do. And so he said that try as much as you may to prevent what is to happen. It will still happen, that has been ordained. And try as you may to do something through this body which has not been ordained, it cannot ever take place. Therefore, he proposed that the best thing for us is to become silent and witness and be sure that what we have come for will definitely unfold and will definitely take place. Now, this idea is so liberating. This idea is so comforting. This whole obsession that we have, for the body, this body consciousness, which is a cause of our ignorance, that I'm the doer. I'm the body and I'm the doer. And this takes us to all these experiences which bring us pain in our life. So he, in one straight experience, in one hammer, he was able to release himself from this delusion and from this fascination and obsession that we have of the human body. And so if we were to realize that actually that there resides in our body at this point of time something which is eternal, and something which is not subject to death, disease, and decay. And that is the truth, that we take a human body to experience in this lifetime. And that is the goal of Atma Chalisa, and that, as we have said, is the goal of human birth. And that is a goal for each one of us. So this clarity he received through this, and he has left a legacy of this understanding for all those who are seeking to experience this truth, who want to walk on this path of self-realization. So this then brings us to the next understanding, and that is what our day 14 was all about, or our chapter 14 is all about, is the permanence and impermanence. So when we chant every time that we meet the mantra Asato Ma Sadgamaya, we pray to the consciousness, or we pray to God, or we pray to the Almighty to lead us from the unreal to the real, or from untruths to truth. Now, what is this truth, and what therefore is untruth? What is real and what is unreal? So we said that truth or the real is something that is changeless, that was, that is, and that shall remain. In all the states of past, present, and future, it exists. As we've discussed, that the human body is subject to death, disease, and decay. It is not permanent. And before us, all our ancestors have come onto this planet and they are gone. Around us, we keep seeing people leaving, and one day we will also leave this body. It is certain. It is a certainty with an unknown date of departure. It's sure that we will go, but we just do not know when we are going to go. So can we say, therefore, that the body is real, though it is made of flesh and blood, though we can see it, though people, call it by a name? Is it the reality? And if it is not the reality, if it is transiting, and if it is so uncertain that we do not even know that, a few minutes from now, would we be actually in this body or not? Would this body will be there or not? And since we do not even have a certainty about it, it cannot be something which is permanent. So if that is not our reality, this body is not our reality, and this body's name is not our reality, then what is this permanence? What is it that actually is real? And as we said, that there is something in us which survives this death, which was there before birth, which is there after death, and which is also there at the time when we have the body, and that is the consciousness we talked about yesterday, the energetic creative principle, or the EFV, energy, frequency, and vibration, which is what the consciousness is. There is that principle which we have all started to experience now, that there is something inside of us which is beginning to express itself, which knows things that our human mind does not know, that which is aware and which is able to connect to the universality, that presence. survives the body and is independent of this body, that is the permanent. And that permanence is what we are seeking. And so when we chant Asto Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya, that O consciousness, O Almighty, please take me from the unreal to the real. Take me from darkness to light. What is this darkness? It is the ignorance. It is our mistaking that the body is real and not recognizing the presence of that consciousness which is within us. That lack of knowledge, that lack of understanding is the ignorance, and that is the darkness of our life. And from darkness lead me to light. What is this light? This light is not the light that comes from pressing a switch and start getting a lamp lit in the room. It is not that physical light. It is not the light that comes from the sun. It is the light of knowledge. It is the light of the right understanding. As we said yesterday, that if we have the right understanding, then all fear goes away from us. We do not need any courage in this life if we have the right understanding. It's only ignorance which brings fear in us. It is the ignorance that we are the body and this body is going to die, which is the root cause of all fears. So when this ignorance is removed and we realize that the true self is independent of this human body, that instant when this realization comes to us that I cannot die, my presence in this consciousness, in this universe, in this creation will always be there. That releases you from all the fears. And that knowledge, that understanding is the light that we need in our life, and it can change the minute we start to go deeper into this understanding. It releases us from the clutches of this ignorance. And therefore, this knowledge helps us to become immortal, because we disconnect from the mortal life, because this mortal body, is subject to death, it is subject to disease, it is subject to decay, but the real self, the shining self which is inside of us, is independent, and therefore it is not impacted with the death of the body. So that makes us immortal. What is immortal? Immortal is something that neither is born nor dies. And that is the same principle that you would hear from all knowers of physics. Because in physics, it is said that energy can neither be destroyed nor it can be created. The energy just is. That means it is an eternal presence. And that is what makes us immortal. Body makes us mortal. But body, we said, is not permanent. And therefore body cannot be the truth. So this understanding of permanence and impermanence is so essential in our life, and we must constantly reflect between and discriminate between the permanent and the impermanent, between the ephemeral and that which is constant, and that is which is always in awareness. And that discrimination, that discernment, and that ability to hold on to that is called manana. So when things happen in our life, when situations come in our life, and if we are able to see them as nothing but passing clouds, that as temporary challenges and situations and events, whether it is a positive event or it's a negative event, they are all like a blip. They will just come and then they will subside and go. Life is in these curves of rising up and going down, rising up and going down. So these are all transient, passing clouds, coming and going. But there is something in us which is witnessing it, which is watching it, which is that real, which is what we have come to experience, and which is the experience we want to carry through this paranam. So, this holding on to the permanent. So, that means during the day, all these temporary thoughts that come us, that trouble us, that spoil us, that take us away from our equanimity, we should instantly discard it, saying that this is impermanent, this is not real. And this ability to constantly discriminate when we are going through challenges, when we are going through day to day life, and remaining in this awareness that this is not real, gives us a completely different perspective to life. We become calm, we become equipoised, we do not get bothered by small upheavals that come and go, and we are able to disconnect from the this body and this life to which we are too attached. And there is something in us that starts to awaken, and there is something in us that starts to express itself, and that something is what we are trying to experience here. Then on the day 15th, we spoke about that this whole experience of a human sojourn, or a journey that we take in this lifetime, when we don a body, or when we are allotted a body, when we take up a body, and the lifespan of this body in this what we call as a lifetime, it's a journey where we grow in age with every passing 12 months. And this age is an acronym that stands for adapt, grow, evolve. So this whole journey is about meeting the challenges of life, being faced with various situations and events and relationships and circumstances, and we learn to adapt, to accept first, and then adapt to those circumstances or situations in our life. And as we adapt to them, there is something inside of us that starts to grow. There is a consciousness, which is this energy which is within us, which starts to raise, which starts to rise up, and it starts to grow in us. And this is what people call as wisdom. We say no, that as we grow older, we start becoming wise. George Bernard Shaw said this very beautifully when he said that the most beautiful university in the world is called experience. The only challenge is that the fees that you have to pay in this university is too high. So there's an expression in India, we say, बाल सफेद, धूप में बाल सफेद किए हैं क्या मैंने, meaning to say that it's not just in sun that my hair have become white. That means Any person who we see with white hair is supposed to be a wise person, because that person has seen a lot of life and has experienced a lot of things in life, and therefore has gained direct insights into life. So, similarly, as we grow, we start to gain deeper and deeper insights into life, and these are these insights are invaluable, but there is so much pain behind it. There is so much of struggle behind it to actually get this wisdom. And that's why we want to pass on this wisdom to others, because we feel that others should not go through that struggle that we have undergone. And that's why we try and warn our children, we try and prepare them. But of course, nobody is listening, because everybody wants to go through their own journey and their own challenge. And so we make this kind of a journey for everybody. We've seen, no, unless our time comes, even when we are told the same thing again and again, but we will not accept it. We are not ready for it till our time comes. And suddenly the same thing starts to make sense, which was there in front of us all the time. So this is called growing up. We are growing. Every challenge, every situation has come to teach us something. Every situation is a teacher. Every person in our life is a teacher. Because who's a teacher? Teacher is the one who's come to tell us something, through whom we have come to learn. So all the souls who travel with us are our teachers, because they've come here to give us some lesson or the other. And that makes us grow. That makes us move away from this limited consciousness that we are holding on to, this body consciousness that we are holding on to, where we see ourselves as a mind operated or body mind operated entity. And that leads to our evolution, because the human journey is an evolutionary journey. What is this evolution? The evolution from human to divine, from man to God, from Manav to Madhav. That is the journey we are on. We are all trying to evolve into that consciousness, which is pure intellect, which is bright as light, which is glowing in love, and which is absolutely in a state of bliss, because it has realized that it has nothing to do with the vehicle in which it has been sitting. Just imagine if you were traveling from Delhi to Bombay, or from Bombay to New York. So we sit in an aircraft. It's very comfortable. We are being served in-flight entertainment. We are being served amazing food. And we become so comfortable because we are traveling in first class. And we start thinking that this is our home. But when the destination comes, we say, we don't want to get up. We don't want to leave, because this is where we belong. This is my home. But that is not possible, isn't it? We have to leave. We are told that this is not your home, you have to go. So similarly, we have to leave one day. But in between this leaving time and the entry time, we need to evolve to a point where we experience the truth of the self. And that's evolution. That is why we keep coming back again and again. And as Shankaracharya ji said very beautifully, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iham samsare bahutustare, kripya pare pahi murare. That this birth, death, this continuous cycle of birth and death will continue. And we'll have to continue to go through this pain of being in the mother's womb for a period of 9 months. It's supposed to be a very uncomfortable period for the child, to be in this dark womb for a period of 9 months. And to come out in this world and initially get trapped in this world in its attractions and attachments, and then we keep suffering in our life, and this pain becomes too much during a lifetime, and ultimately we pray to Murari, we have to pray to God to save us and to take us across this ocean, to take us across this ocean of sorrow. So, but this continuous coming and going can only be relieved if we invoke the divine, if we take the help of that consciousness, that it can liberate us from this sorrow. So it is this evolution of us seeing ourselves as limited human body, a body mind apparatus, to moving beyond, where we realize that we are that consciousness, which is what we call as God. So that's the journey of adapting to situations and events that come in our life. All of us have gone through and will continue to go through situations in life. They will not stop coming because they're coming from our prarabdhas, they're coming from our past actions, from our past karmas. And we have come here, all of us have come here to learn certain lessons. And we are talking of the ultimate lessons, which is the lesson of self-realization, of experiencing this divine light within us. And through every experience that we come, through every challenge that comes in our life, which is perfectly put in for us, which is a part of our university thesis and our university program. We have come here to graduate by going through these lessons. So we must evolve, and we should not give up here and saying, okay, whatever lessons I have to learn, I will learn. We have to finish this course and finally clear this endless loop of birth and death by experiencing that ultimate goal, which is the goal of the Atma Chalisa, of self-realization, of experiencing that bliss. So let's use this opportunity to not just age physically in years, but to age, adapt, grow, and evolve to the ultimate state of one consciousness, of this divine love that we are seeking. Then on day 16, we talked about suffering, which is what the quote I shared of Adi Shankaracharya ji, where he talked about that this whole life is full of suffering. What is this suffering? We suffer through various things that happen in our life. We suffer through struggles in our life, through our upbringing issues. Some people have issues when they are growing up. Some of us have challenges at work. Some people have challenges of money. Somebody have challenges with their partners. Somebody have, challenges with their children. Some people have, wealth related, property related. There are a lot of causes of suffering. Some people have anxiety issues, some people have health issues, right? But all this suffering is actually in the mind. All the disease, they say, is all actually has its root cause in the mind. Happy mind, happy soul is disease free. If we are truly happy, if we experience that bliss. And whatever else has to come or comes only because of what prarabdhas, whatever we have to carry, because whatever karmas that have to come, they also come and through our body, they get released through our body. But we must have this clarity that suffering is something which is given only to the mind. Heart does not know any suffering. The heart only and only is the seat of joy. Mind, by worrying, mind by focusing on unnecessary expectations and attachments creates all suffering. It plans, it worries, it wants results, it wants to you know do things for its loved ones, and it therefore has then expectations of people, it has attachments to people, and that is what brings all the suffering in our world. Otherwise, in consciousness, there is nothing which is ours. Because if we are pure consciousness, if our body is not permanent, and if we are going to die one day, then nothing truly belongs to us. How can this body be real and when it is going to die? And when this body is going to die, then the relationships that this body has itself is of no use, because it cannot be real. And if I come again and again, then how many times I have to have these relationships? So if I have taken birth hundreds of times, I've had hundreds of fathers and mothers and wives and husbands and children, right? So, who is your real brother? Who is your real father? Who is your real mother? Who is your real spouse? Who is your real partner? They are all, they are the past brothers and the past spouses and the past mothers are no longer, we don't even remember them. But if they are permanent, if they are souls who would remain in eternity, are they gone? No, they are not gone. They are also somewhere in the consciousness. So, what is this? What is this that we are trying to create attachment to? Because if this attachment wasn't there, there cannot be any suffering. And if their expectation was not there from these people, and if we knew that in any case this body is going to go, therefore there is nothing that is mine. Therefore, if nothing is mine, how can I lose something? So when I cannot gain something because this gain is of no use to me, it's going to go. And if I cannot lose anything, then where is the pain? If no one actually belongs to me, but because this body is not mine, then the real self is actually unattached. It is not even attached to this body. It is just permanent, temporarily being there. So if we discriminate like this, if we contemplate like this, you will realize that actually this whole suffering is coming from this wrong idea that I am the body and I am therefore the doer. And therefore, creating any relationships that this body has itself are not real. And therefore, everything that this body owns, or if this body lacks, is also illusionary. And if this soul is birthless and deathless, and this birth cannot be burned, it cannot be drowned, it cannot be blown away in air, it cannot be consumed in an earthquake, that means nothing can actually touch it. It is stainless. It is that effulgent energy which cannot be destroyed. Then where is a question of suffering? So suffering comes from wrong understanding, from the wrong idea, from the wrong association of the self being the body-mind apparatus or the body-mind door. So therefore, suffering is a concept that we have carried because of our ignorance, because of our wrong understanding, and we can, with the right thinking, we can go beyond this uh, fire that we have to walk through, and we can transcend this whole idea of suffering. Now, We've talked about all this. These are new things coming to us in our awareness. And these things have not been taught to us in any school, in any university, has not been taught to us by our parents, our elders, our society. And we've been carrying this knowledge about ourselves being the name and the body and the age and the profession we are in and the relationships we have and the money in our accounts and the properties we hold and the countries we have visited and all the pictures we have clicked in all our vacations and all the joy we have had, but nothing has remained with us. Everything is so temporary. All experiences we've had on the last holiday, uh, we don't even remember them. We get reminded of them whenever we see a video or we see pictures of them, but actually we don't even, we're not even able to recall what happened to us 2 years back on this day. If it was real, how could we have forgotten it? How could it not be part of our awareness? So if that is true, it means that there is so much that we have to unlearn in our life. Unlearn all these falsities, all this wrong idea and beliefs that we have about life, which have been programmed in us, which have been put into us by this environment around us, by the people around us. And whenever somebody has come to us speaking some words of wisdom of what the truth is about, we have dismissed it by saying, come on, be real. This is not how we understand it, or this is not how we have been told. So we require to unlearn. In fact, with most of you with whom I have daily conversations or who are here, I keep telling them, we have not come here to learn something. All of you have come here to unlearn something. All this knowledge that we are carrying, which creates this false ego in us, which comes in the way of our learning, is what we have to let go of. All these hundreds and thousands of beliefs that we have put into our head, we have to let go. Our ideas of all our achievements and our accomplishments and our success, we have to let go. We have to become absolutely blank. We have to become an empty container. Only then we can fill ourselves up with the right understanding. So this unlearning is essential. And the more we try and learn, the more we hear people say, everybody has an opinion in this universe. And everybody is trying to force their opinion onto you. And especially in the day and age of social media with YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, they are forcing their opinions on you. And they're trying to program you. Somebody says, if you eat this, you will die. If you eat this, you will be healthy. If you don't do this, this will happen to you. It's crazy, and people misuse their position of power. I've seen a lot of influencers actually using their position because they have a million Instagram followers or they have people following them. They try and force that every morning you must on an empty stomach eat this if you want to be healthy. You should do this, you should do that. If you keep listening to these guys, right, and no offense meant to them, they are also programming you. They are like, the terrorists are actually brainwashed by their handlers so that they have a full justification. They feel they are going to be martyrs, if they undertake the acts of terrorism, right? Similarly, we all of us who try to force beliefs into others are actually like that. We are still programming, pushing, conditioning. And why do we want to condition people? Because ultimately we want to manipulate and control them. And that's why this whole world is a big illusion. Yeah, this manipulation is happening all the time. So I want to highlight this, that this we have to unlearn so many wrong concepts and ideas. And also, we have another problem, and a lot of us, especially who have gurus in their life, suffer from this delusion also. We start to, do everything that is being, propagated by the guru, because without trying to, create in us this discernment, and we start to now blindly start following, even when we realize that this experience is not leading us to the reality. I have said day one, we must experience things firsthand. And if that experience is not leading you to where you need to be, you should be able to have this discernment and not be pressurized to do something which which you clearly believe is not working for you. Have the ability to walk away from it and said, this is not what I am up to. So we need to develop. Remember, the real job of any guru, who is a real guru, is to connect you to the inner guru who is formless. Because the real guru is inside of us. And as we say, when the disciple is ready, the guru appears in our life. And when the disciple is really ready, the guru disappears from the life. Okay? The guru then, from a physical form, takes the form of the inner guru and still guides you. And in this journey, where you've come to experience things, no amount of brainwashing, can help us. In fact, we need to wash our brain and be completely empty of every such belief that we have carried, and become absolutely clean with this washing, and start like a small child who absolutely comes into this world with a clean slate. And through this clean slate, if we have, then we will laugh easily, we will cry easily, we will actually experience life as it is, without trying to call it something all the time, without trying to file it somewhere in our consciousness as right and wrong. Because, as we said, right and wrong was never created. It is the two ends of that same energy, and just by definitions and by labeling and by vocabulary, we have started to get caught into that. So this path of experiencing the energetic self is the path of letting go and unlearning and going back to be able to see things as they are, exactly the way as a 2-year-old child is able to see things. Into that clarity we need to come to, without giving it, because we receive most of the things we receive in our life are through our filters, through our conditioning. And that, by the time we receive it, we have already given it. Same situation, same talk right now, a lot of you are listening, but a lot of you are receiving it very differently, because we are receiving it through our own filters. And these filters, these prejudices, have just, over a period of time, unconsciously, they have built into us. They are like our receptors, and these receptors just come into play automatically, and they start filtering things. And we give meanings to it as we think is relevant to us, as we feel it is convenient to us, as we feel that we can use it. So that's the challenge that we face. And that leads me to the final topic for today, which is chapter 18, which I'm already, since we are discussing the same theme, uh, that this world is actually illusory in nature, and the only truth is the Brahman, or the consciousness. And this is what Adi Shankaracharya continued to say, that Brahm Satya Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmeva Na Paraha. That that only Brahman, which is the all-pervading reality or the consciousness, is the truth. This world as we see it and as we experience it with our five senses is illusory. It appears to be real, but actually it is not real. It appears to be real on the basis of our perception and our conditioning and our belief systems. And we view things according to that. And that itself, as I said, five people viewing the same situation will view it differently, because each is coming from what their belief systems are, what they have grown up with, what they are conditioned to see. And that is why, the same thing is varying. Our ability to see things, our ability to view things are very different. So when a kind of a war happens between two nations, as we are seeing a conflict between various nations, there are people who are completely split about it. They are seeing it from where they are coming from, and each believe that they are right from their viewpoint. So anything which is subject to change cannot be the truth. So Shankaracharya ji was very clear that if you keep focusing on the world, which is illusory, which is transient, which is impermanent, which is constantly changing, it will give you this experience of reality, but it isn't, and it will take you through these whole cycles of joys and sorrows. And if you hold on to the Brahman, which is the consciousness, which is the changeless reality, which is what is permanent, and if you experience that consciousness within you, then you will experience that Ananda. When you become aware of this at all times, of this truth of yours, Satchit, it will give you the experience of this Ananda and this pure love, which is what this consciousness essential nature is. The essence of this real nature is love. It starts to then flow through you. So, and then he says, Jivo Brahmeva Naparaha. That the Jiva, which is the individual soul or the individual consciousness, the consciousness that resides in the individual, is no different from the Brahman. So the consciousness that resides in each one of us and the consciousness that is everywhere and residing in every one of us is actually one and the same. So Brahman is the truth, Jagat is illusory. The Brahman, that is the consciousness, is also inside us, and it is the same as what is outside. So that, like we say, the air inside the container is the same as the air outside the container. Just because it is encased in a container, the air cannot become different. So the energy that resides in you and in me is actually the same as the energy that is residing all around us, the all-pervading reality, the energetic presence from which every object has got created, is one and the same. It's just that we are experiencing it differently. We are experiencing it differently because we understand it differently, because we are coming from our beliefs, our filters, our ignorance, because we do not have the right understanding and we have not gained a direct experience. Remember, experiential learning. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Listen to what you are being told. Listen so that you can understand it fully. And when you understand it, contemplate upon this truth, reflect upon this truth, do self-inquiry upon this truth. And when it becomes clear in your head, start to practice it in your life and check it out for yourself. Life is a do it for yourself program. Life is not based on borrowed truths. Life is not based on what mommy and daddy have told us. Life is about experiencing it and figuring it out and knowing the truth for yourself. till the time somebody tells you, if I am telling you right now something, what you are listening to me is a borrowed truth. And it may not be true also. The only way for you to find out is melody khao khud jaan jao. Please eat this chocolate and then only you will know how sweet it is. Please experience all that I am telling you. If you do not put it into practice, the mantra is practice, practice, practice. If you do not practice it, you will not learn anything. But if you practice it, I assure you, you will gain the direct experience. And then you will know what you are being given, whether it's the truth or not. And that is the only thing the Vedanta talks about. Vedanta does not believe in philosophy, idle philosophy. Vedanta does not talk about, pushing people on, superstitions and rituals. It tells you that it is scientific. Spirituality is the most scientific thing. A lot of the scientists are coming around to understanding what spirituality is, and it gives you the path. It tells you what you need to do. It gives you the understanding, and it opens up all the wrong notions we've had, and systematically, as we directly, like scientists, start to examine these truths through our own direct experience. Because when we have direct experience, then that experience cannot be denied, and experience is for us, and we know it works for us. So I invite all of you to not just listen to this, but try it out in your life. Think about it, reflect upon it, contemplate upon it, and just go ahead. It's a great experiment that we are on, and it's a do it yourself experiment, and we only can do it. Not even your guru, not your husband, not your partner, not your wife, not your mother or father can do it for you. This is a program for each one of us, and each one of us has to do it ourselves. And we can only help each other, we can only encourage each other, we can guide each other, and that is what is the power of satsanga. And that is what we are doing. We are constantly together, we are helping each other, and we are trying to tell each other that yes, there are others before you who have done it. There is a guide who is there for these 40 days with you, who's gone and done this, who's now willing to help you. If you need help, the help is available. The experience is yours to take if you follow the steps, and let your experience guide you to your truth, and not be restricted by others' opinions and others' forced ideologies on yourself. All right. So, with that, I want to thank all of you for being here. I love you all. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.